We're live? Are we live? I think we're live. How's everybody doing? Lee Harris is already here. He's already dropping comments. How we doing, Lee? Boy, I tell you, I'm suffering from something. I don't know what it is, or the doctors don't know yet either. But it's nothing super serious, but definitely sucks. Tractor Talk is on. Brent's in the house. What's going on, Brent? Let me grab something to drink quick. I got to wear my pajamas because I got some type of infection of some kind, and it's really, really uncomfortable. But we'll make her through. Patch of Heaven Farm is in the house. What's going on? How's stuff down there? Or up there? Up there? Down there? Family's good, Lee. Thanks for asking. Tomorrow is my little one's 3rd birthday, so Minnesota Oliver and Deer's in the house. What's going on, bud? How's the shop? Brent says he's just watching the wonderful white stuff fall. Yeah, we got nothing but rain down here. I did see some snowflakes earlier, but nothing. I mean, just a few. So, Patch of Heaven Farm says waiting for my head to come back from the machine shop. Is that for the M? I can't remember. Hyatt's in the house. Yep, tomorrow's her 3rd birthday, so she'll get that. Dad got her that electric tractor. I don't know if you guys seen it on the community page, and then we also got her a little 110cc ATV. And don't worry, she's not going to be riding it by herself anytime soon. Old Dad's going to be on it with her. So, but start them young, right? I don't want my kids to grow up, glued to electronics and sitting in the basement and everything else. I want them to be outside and discovering the world. So, getting creative, using their mind. Mike's in the house. GMC cracker box truck. That's a tongue twister, that screen name. Jethro's Garage is in the house. Minnesota Oliver and Deer says shop is good, getting his CDL soon. All right, trying to make some money on the road, eh? Oh, that's right. Patch Heaven Farm, that cylinder head is for the 400, I forgot. M400, same chassis, different options. Thanks, Hyatt. I'll let her know that you say happy birthday, you and Monica both. So appreciate that. Yeah, Mike, GMC Cracker Box truck, Mike. He picked up, was it a 2000 3/4 ton Chevy? Regular cab, long bed, but it's in real nice shape. Got the indestructible 350 small block. Kids learn fast how to do things. Oh, yeah, they do. Especially when they're watching you, Jethro wants to see me riding that ATV. Hey, I already rode it. And if I'm lying, I'm dying. It's pink, but I'll use that thing to go to the mailbox and back if I want. Mega Wisconsin's in the house. Says he enjoys the videos. Hey, appreciate that, man. Really do. I wouldn't still be making them if it wasn't for all you guys. Well, I probably would, but nobody'd be watching them. Minnesota Oliver and Deer switched jobs working for PGM in Ham Lake, hauling dumpsters and demolition. Love the guys, but bigger plans are coming soon. Hey, it's always good to move up. It's always good to move up, and now is as good a time as any because there's more jobs than there are, I don't know, anything else. Brent says, my daughter started driving an Arctic Cat 90 ATV at 3 years old. Start them young. That's right. Start them young. Her only issue is she can't reach from the seat. I don't think because we went and sized her up on it, but she doesn't know it's there yet. But she can't reach the floor boards of the ATV, so she can't push on the rear brake. So, but it's got a remote shut off, so if she gets too far away, I can just hit the button and it'll shut it off. It's also got a throttle position lock on it, so it's not really a lock; it's a lock out. So I can adjust a screw, and you can only push the throttle lever so far. So. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much what it looks like. I can't even fit my foot in the floor pan area on that ATV. So Ryan says, "What's up? How you doing, Ryan? Good to see you, man." Minnesota Oliver and Deer says, "I might be bringing Ulf to the shows this year." What is Ulf? I don't know what OLF. I don't know what that is. Just a little side note here for you guys that are watching. I ran down to get some parts for the Relics Case SC today, so I didn't make any video of it because it was raining all day long and it wasn't good conditions for making a video. Plus, the person that I picked the parts up from, his name is Don Livingston. He runs what the heck, Rusty Acres down in Austin, Minnesota, and he sells parts of all kinds, but he's mainly a case guy, and he has some rare equipment. He has a 1920 case touring car. I think it's a 7-passenger touring car. He has a case 2040 prairie tractor. This is just giving you guys some stuff to YouTube later so you can check it out. But he's got all kinds of stuff. But I've known Don for a long time, over 20 years. Because when I was rebuilding my Case SC, the engine, he's the one that I got my sleeves and a couple other odd parts from. So Minnesota Oliver and Deer says, one lonely farmer, good buddy and fellow. I know exactly who that is. I've never met him, but yeah, it'd be great to meet him. One lonely farmer is a good dude. I've seen a lot of his videos. Patch of Heaven Farm says Rusty Acres is in my neck of the woods. Yeah, I thought you lived south of me. I get confused a lot where people are at. Brian H is in the house. Brian lives down by my in-laws, actually. And Brian does a lot of beautiful carburetors. If you haven't checked out Brian's channel, he does really cool stuff with mostly Farmall carburetors, but does a lot of really intricate restorations. And he just finished up one for, I believe it was a 1020 McCormick. Sent me some pictures, and man, was that thing beautiful. So did a great job, Brian. McLean Farms, Ryan. Ryan's in the house. How you doing, bud? Going to work for him, then going to try and bring him up for the shows. I tried to get him to go to Half a Century of Progress show. I've never been to that show, so I'd like to go. I hear it's a pretty good sized show, so. But yeah, Brian says it was a 1020. I like to call those carburetors for those tractors the snail shell carburetor because they kind of have a spiral to them. They're really an interesting and ornate design. It's pretty cool. Same thing on the F20s. They use the same carburetors. So, or not the F20. I'm sorry, the regulars. Oh, yep, that's my dog. What? Wanna go outside? Okay, all right. Go on, go. Go. All right, let's see if I can catch up here. Ryan says he's doing good. Can't wait to get the new tractor home. Well, what's the new tractor? Jethro says need to post an update on the Simplicity walking tractor I pulled from my in-laws' place where it's sat since the 80s and got the old Briggs running. Hey, running is a start. Running and driving that's miles ahead of where I've started. But I'm kind of a glutton for punishment. I like to bring them back from the dead and resurrect. And of course, that one had sat since the 80s, like you said. So you didn't start with stuck and troubled. Hans from Tractor Hoarders is in the house. What's up, Hans? Glad to see you made it. Minnesota Oliver says half century is huge. Bring a plow. Come on out next year. Hey, if it works out, I'd love to. Like I've always said, my biggest obstacles are if I have the time off and if I can round up a truck and trailer, because as everybody knows, I don't have a truck or trailer that's capable of hauling. So I'm always borrowing and renting and doing all kinds of stuff. And I really, it's sometimes it's tough. I'll just say it that way. So, and I've got some other things going on that can sometimes get in the way. So, Tim's in the house. What's going on, Tim? How you doing, man? Hey, don't forget to smash those like buttons, guys. That's a little shout out to Rick Bork if you're watching. I'm not doing a drinking board, but Brian says I laughed at your comment on my failed float repair video. Yeah, I was waiting for a nice smash with the hammer or something, and then right as that vise started to squeeze on that float, it just cut out. I was like, oh man. McLean Farms. Ryan says 1953 John Deere 50 got the oval holes in the center. It's stuck, but will be pretty easy. Well, let's hope. Stuck engines are always a big gamble, but you know that's the way. I mean, I don't necessarily prefer to find them that way, but I've primarily found them that way. So, how many parts did we get for the Relics SC? Well, we got another front wheel because it had mismatched front wheels. So we got another front wheel that came with a tire. So hopefully that holds air. PTO shield, motor lift pedal, air intake pipe with cap, air intake filter to carburetor pipe, manifold with the exhaust elbow. What else did we get? Manifold gaskets. I think that's it. So, Farmwork 686 is in the house. How's it going, bud? Larry McDonald's in the house. I've had to borrow trucks and trailers a lot to go get tractors. Finally got a small fleet of pickups. Just need a good trailer. Yeah, I need both. So, I mean, I've got the trailer that Rudy gave to me. I did a lot of work to it, but hey, it was a good platform to start with because I didn't have a trailer before that. But it's not capable of hauling a tractor. So I could probably haul a Farmall Cub with it, but that'd be about it. It's only 6 foot by 8. So Rex Kramer's in the house. What's going on, Rex? Ricky borked his phone. Uh-oh. Did he break it? Or did he drop it in the toilet? Hans is on here, Mike. He's on. He's watching. Somewhere he's on here. Minnesota Oliver says, I'm looking for a tractor to bring to the shows, most likely a 2-cylinder. Well, if you're looking for something easy to haul, John Deere B is always a safe bet. I actually know where there's a style John Deere B. Probably get it for under $1,000. You know, I know last time I seen it, the engine was loose, and the tin was pretty good shape. Carb was on it, mag was on it, so probably wouldn't take much to get it running. And I think I threw an offer at the gentleman for when we were doing the tractor raffle. It was one I was looking at, and I think I threw an offer at him for like $400 or $600, and I think I said 4, and he countered with 6. So Jeff says he's working on putting together a side dresser and cultivators for his son's Super A. He bought a crate of parts at auction. Hey, I'm no stranger to that. That's how we're putting together that John Deere engine. Rudy and I just pulled parts out of boxes and off of shelves that he's got in his garage, and that's how we're doing it. So it's literally just something we're putting together out of boxes. You will always find a use for a little utility trailer, even when you get a bigger one. You know, all the castings for the H, I hauled that all on that trailer to the sandblast shop. So it absolutely works. John Deere B is easy to haul, yep. And multitasking is not easy for a man. I get it, Hans. Minnesota says he's got nowhere to put the John Deere B. Put it at the shop if your dad will let you. Hey, but I get it if you won't. Space is a hot commodity in a shop. So Jethro says it passed on a 52 square axle B running driving with usable rubber for $1,200, but he had nowhere to store it, etc. Yeah, sometimes opportunities just aren't at the right time, you know. Love the John Deere B. Best free tractor I ever got. Well, I've never got a tractor for free, but Larry says finally bought a house with a 20 by 24 shop. Hope to get it heated and get my 1730 Minneapolis cross motor in there to start on it. What? Please tell us you're going to have some videos for us on that. That'd be cool. If you buy a hand clutch, make sure it's all tight. You can ruin the crank easy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if that clutch driver's loose or your flywheel isn't on far enough and you got too much crankshaft end play, it can really screw some things up in there. Hans wants to know if we tried to see if the new SC will fire yet. No. Carburetor's done, but we got to change out the manifold yet. We need to get a mag for it. And Ben, 1928 Farmall Ben, has a spare mag he was going to send us. So we're waiting on those items, but it's still not the best weather. We've had a couple isolated days of, 50s, 60. I think we had 2 days of 60 already, but today it's been raining all day and we're supposed to get rain for like the next 3 days. So it's not very conducive to working out there and doing stuff. So no room left at the shop anymore. At work maybe, but not worth it. It'll get smashed up. Yeah, I hear you. Free tractor's like a free puppy. It'll cost you a lot. Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Of course, Hans, now his tractor wasn't free, and he'll know what I'm talking about when I mention his Ford. But he made out like a bandit on that tractor. That was a heck of a purchase. $100 and had it running in a matter of few hours maybe. But crank was completely round, no splines left to grab on. Oof, that's rough. Larry says debating starting a YouTube channel, not sure what I would need to start making videos. Some people just use their cell phone, especially with the technology of these things these days. They got pretty good cameras on them. Otherwise, GoPros, you can get into one of those for fairly decent price, or one of the generic brand GoPros you can get really cheap, probably under $100. So Brian says he can hardly afford to run the furnace in my garage. Natural gas went up this year. Yeah, you ain't kidding. My natural gas bill for the house is about 60% higher than it was last year. It's ridiculous. Hans says finally took a quick look at the John Deere E. I think it's going to run with minimal effort, but I found the gas tank is rusted through. Just ordered one off eBay today. Hey, no big deal there. Minnesota says he's got garden tractors that were free and have next to nothing in them. Got lucky. Tom A's in the house. What's up, Tom? You guys hear me okay? I hope so. I can only see my microphone things moving a little bit here, but I assume you guys can hear me okay. McLean says my bee came to me turning over, just had to get it running and do some other odds and ends, but I can explain all what it ended up needing in the comments. Sure, why not? Yeah, Hans, that 2N, $100. That's a good deal. That's a good deal on any tractor, really. You can make $100 back real quick. Just the tractor itself is worth more than that in scrap, you know. But man, just checking on my dog here. I got some interesting medical stuff going on, and none of the doctors can seem to figure it out. I'm a medical anomaly. But I dropped off. Well, we picked up the John Deere E engine from the sandblast shop, so that's almost ready. We got to take it. It's over at Domino's right now, and we got to fix a couple of cracks in the water jacket. Shouldn't be a big deal. We should be able to drill the ends of the cracks so it doesn't continue to spread, and then V it out and either braze it, or we do have a friend that may be able to weld the cast. You know, put it in an oven, heat it up, weld it, and then cool it down. So we'll see with that. Hans wants to know if I've ran my M at all this winter. I haven't even started it. I think the last time we did was probably October, and it you know, the whole winter we accumulated snow, but we never got a snowfall that it was worth running it, you know, in a single event. It was 2 inches here, 4 inches there, an inch here, you know, it wasn't worth trying to fire it up, and it'll run. Yeah, it's not. Plus time is a big one. So Tom says just got home from Napa, 297.94, new starter and a couple odds and ends for the excursion. Speaking of excursions, oh, sorry. That sucks, by the way. I've been there. I just finished some vehicle repairs a couple weeks ago. Serpentine belt and tensioner pulley and a couple other things. Sucks. It never happens when it's 70 degrees and sunny. It's always in the cold. But speaking of excursions, my cousin has an excursion that they would like to give me for a tractor hauler, but it needs cats put on it because somebody stole the cats off of it a couple months ago. So, yeah. And it's the V10 gasser. I don't know if you have the Power Stroke or the gasser, but yeah, not looking forward to that fuel bill. Over the winter, I think my 110 popped a head gasket. Not a bad thing. I want to go through the engine too. Hey, might as well. Hope the doctors figure it out soon. You're telling me they got me on steroids and some cream for the hives that I have all over, and it's really not fun. I mean, I have hives on the tops of my feet and on the back of my knee and in a very, very sensitive area If you guys get my drift, I have hives there as well. And they all itch horribly, horribly, horribly. Ryan says the transmission casting was broke all the way around up under the platform where your feet go on the original 49 castings, but now it's got a 52 casting. We tried welding the original 49 one. Yeah, that's a rough repair. Picked up an Alice WC a few years ago for 125, freed up the motor and put a rear tire and rim on it. Turned out an excellent runner. That's luck. That's luck. Found a nice BN yesterday, not far from your place in Michigan for 1,500. I really like BNs. I like them. I think if I were to get a B, it would be a BN because I like. Wow, that's a lot of Bs. I like the narrower BN. Same with the F20s and the regulars. I really like the narrows. Mine was a normal F20 when I had it, but I often considered switching out the rear end for a narrow. Andy Fromm wants to know what year excursion. It's probably like a 2000, early 2000 or 99, 2000, 2001, something like that. I would guess. It's got to be 99, 2000. Tom's got the 7.3 Power Stroke. Yeah, I wish this one had the 7.3, but it's the V10 gasser. So, but it's a free tractor hauler. I'm fortunate enough to have, good friends and family around me that when they're done with their stuff, they ask if I want it before they sell it. So, also got a 1940 Alice WC for 250, brand new rebuilt head and brand new crankshaft. Only 2 hours on the engine. Just needed a distributor and it was running. More luck. I don't know what to tell you, man. Yeah, hives are not fun. I have no allergies that I'm aware of, but I don't know what this is, man. I could probably show you guys. See that? That was a blister that just appeared while I was sleeping. I woke up at 4 a.m. and I had no blister on my finger. Then I woke up again at 6:30 and there was a huge blister there. And that's the third time it's happened to me. The second time I had two on my forearm that appeared while I was working out. And then I had two on my thigh a couple weeks before that just appeared in the middle of the night. And now I've got hives everywhere. So I don't know what the heck is going on, but I went to urgent care last week, had all kinds of tests ran. They're all coming back normal. Okay, let me catch up here. Prayers for me. I appreciate that. V10 gasser drinks like a stuck hog. Yeah, it does. Bring your M north next winter. It'll be easy be ready for an overhaul by spring. Well, it just had an overhaul. Need an engine for a General Model GG 4-cylinder Hercules. Try a salvage yard. That's my best advice. Or get on Facebook and ask around. Sean wants to know, is there a difference between a B and a BN? Yes, there is. B is a standard width rear end. A BN has narrower axle housings, so it's a narrower setup. There's a 2000 Excursion on eBay in Duluth asking $17,500. Looks nice in same colors and 7.3 powertrain. I wish I could afford something like that. Andy says he's got 2000 Excursion V10 exhaust that goes between manifold and muffler, just what you need. Hey, help me out, brother. John Deere B almost killed me and my brother. The front end broke off on my brother. He got run over by the rear tire when he got thrown off. Then with me, it was stuck, and me and my brother tried pulling it out, but the chain broke on the truck side and went flying by my head and Prime the power troll lever off. That's how close it was to my head. Yeah, that's scary stuff, man. You got to be careful when you're pulling stuff with chains. Terrible. I hope your brother's okay from getting run over by the tractor tire. That's terrible. Warren says V10 gassers are tough motors. Both plow trucks where I work are V10s and they've got beaten like stolen mules. One's at 275, the other's 180,000 miles. Wow. I don't know how many miles are on this one, but I know it runs fine. Yeah, the blisters, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I've stripped all the blankets out of my house and washed them. I stripped all the couch cushions off, washed all the covers on the cushions, all the pillowcases, everything. Just in case I thought, well, since the snow's gone now, maybe my dog got into some poison ivy and brought it in the house and laid on a blanket somewhere and now I got it. But I don't know. I'm trying anything I can think of. They got me on steroids and cream and it's terrible. Whatever I got going on is terrible. Does the Farmall N narrow designation follow the other models? Is there an HN? There's a BN, and that's it. There's the narrow tread F20 and the narrow tread regular and a narrow tread F30 as well. But as far as letter series tractors, it's just the BN. If they can't diagnose you, you can tell people you have classic tractor fever. Oh, I definitely have the fever. It was nice to get out in the garage the other day and just pull the hydraulic reservoir and remotes off of Connor's tractor for, I was only out there for maybe an hour and it's just 4 bolts that holds it on there. So it wasn't anything really worth filming. But then I spent a lot of time scraping all the dirt and grease and everything off the top of the transmission housing. So it was good to get out there and get active on that stuff again. So Jeff says he's got a 58 450 Farmall. Got to buy a new TA for. Oof, that's not going to be cheap. TAs are not an inexpensive item, especially the Super MTAs. I don't know if the 450s are the same, but I think they are. They changed the TA to some type of a hydraulic version, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Somewhere in like the 560 or the higher number ranges, they changed the TA design. So well, I'm glad to hear your brother was okay, Ryan. I'm glad to hear everybody was okay. That stuff's no joke. Hey, thanks, John. It's at this point it's just uncomfortable. It's not painful. It's just very uncomfortable, especially in my nether region. Did I switch laundry detergents? No, I've been using the same detergent for quite a while. Same with soaps. I mean, I've thought of all that stuff, so it's a freak weird thing, I guess. Of course, I guess it fits in right along with me. I'm kind of weird too, so. Randy's in the house. What's up, Randy? Faraway Farms in the house. I'm doing all right. I'm dealing with I was just telling the guys I was dealing with some medical stuff. Still dealing with it, but it's nothing like serious health wise. I hope it's just I got hives all over and I got blister. I showed that already, but there it is again. Blisters randomly showing up on my skin and have no idea. Doctors can't figure it out. So 706 up is the hydraulic TA. Yeah, I knew there was a change in there somewhere, but anything after 1954, I really don't pay much attention to. It's just I don't have much of an interest in it. So I never grew up around it, never messed with it. If somebody asked if I wanted to drive a 1066 or something, I'm not going to turn it down. But I just, for me, I have no use for something like that. So I had 7 tractors here and I had no use for 6 of them. But, to me, it's not about using them. Well, I shouldn't say that. I like to use them, but I don't have the property to use them like they should be used. So for me, it's just a play thing. Jason says they changed to the hydraulic TA in the 06 series. The MTA through 560 use the same TA. From what I remember, the 560 is pretty much just an M with a 6 cylinder and or an MTA with a 6 cylinder and some other updates to it. And I know they had bearing issues in the rear end where they had a recall or something on them, and then they stamped a triangle or something on the serial tag when they had the update done, and they changed them out to Timken taper rollers, I think, if I remember right. But 1100 bucks for the TA. Yeah, not cheap. Craig's in the house. How we doing, Craig? Friend has an original Paint International 1026 Hydro Golden demonstrator that he thinks the hydro needs gone through. Oof. That's probably not a small job either. Blisters showing up on your hand during overnight. Are you sure you're not wrenching in your sleep? Who knows? It's tough to watch myself when I sleep. Yeah, random blisters. I know. It's the third time it's happened in the last 6 months. But the last 2 times I didn't get hives, and now I've got hives. So I don't know. But I gotta open my Fresca. Only tractor pass letters would be the 2+2s, preferably a 6788. That'd be a monster to have, for sure. There's a couple of them right over by the Now Then threshing show grounds. There's a guy that's got a couple 2+2s or anteaters or whatever you want to call them. Some people call them the anteaters because of the big long nose on them, but charging whirler, as Derek would say, yeah. And I ain't kidding you. How's Grandpa's SC surviving the winter outside the garage? Fine. Battery was dead, but sitting outside in the cold, minus 30 for 3 months. It's tough to keep any batteries alive in that stuff without running it regularly. So maybe having a horrible reaction from getting rid of all your tractors. Well, that's quite the delayed reaction. Brian hasn't heard Fresca in years. Yeah, I quit drinking caffeine about 3 years ago when I was still working the overnight shift because I was starting to get kind of worried about the effect it might be having on my body combined with lack of sleep. So I quit drinking caffeine altogether, and now I just drink non-caffeinated like Fresca. I didn't even know it, but it's sparkling soda water. I thought it was pop, but I guess that's what pop is carbonated water with food coloring and syrup and everything else. But yeah, I'll drink Fresca or Squirt or root beer, but other than that, I don't drink soda or anything with caffeine in it. I don't drink coffee. Never was a coffee guy. I haven't had a beer in months. So yeah, I don't have time to drink or drink to the point where I'll be hungover the next day. I got too much stuff to do. Plus being hungover with a 2 going on 3-year-old. No thanks. No, thank you. More power to you, Rick, but not for me, man. Plus, I since I've gotten older and had a kid and everything, I really have wanted to stay away from alcohol because I grew up with a rough upbringing with both alcohol, drugs, and um, parents that had issues big time with that stuff, and I don't want it around my kid, and I don't want it to affect me as a person or my marriage or anything else. So it's better that I stay away from it because say what you want, but that addictive personality is a gene trait, and I know better. So with that said, back to tractors. Maybe having, let's see here. Tried late 2020 on a 6588, but went past my budget by 2 grand. Yeah, it's sometimes that's how it goes. Randy says maybe it's COVID after effects. Maybe this is the second, possibly third time I've had COVID, and yeah, who knows? Who knows what the heck's going on? But Tom says they were also called Snoopy for the long nose. Yeah, Craig, I'm just kidding, Kenny. Yep, it's all fun here, bud. Don't worry, I don't take hardly anything serious. So, did I have to take the COVID jab? Nope, absolutely not. I will not get it. Um, I don't. I'm not a. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I support people who want to do it for themselves, and I support people who don't want to do it. And I'm one of the guys that doesn't want to do it. So yes, I've had COVID for sure twice, possibly 3 times. I think I had it right before it was um, discovered here in the United States, but I was very sick for almost a month in November of 2019, and then I definitely had it in 2020, and then again just in February here. So around here, the 2+2s were always called anteaters. Yep, that's I've heard that used interchange with 2+2. So Brent says he started all the tractors last weekend. Super C and H fired up, no choke. 706 little choke, and the 930 a sniff of go juice. Let's see. Tom says, "Good man, setting a good example for your family." I'm trying, man. Like I said, I I grew up rough, so well, it wasn't all bad. There was my parents did the best they could um, with some things, and then there were other things that there was a lot of negative that overshadowed the positive, and it is what it is. So still love them, they're still my parents. They're gone, but they're still my parents. But it's uh it's hard to get over a lot of the stuff that both my brother and I went through. So Craig says right now I'm overwhelmed with projects, so I'm just going to focus one my Super W6 right now. Hey, that's a rare tractor. I'd say that's a good one to focus on. So I'm kind of spread between 3 different projects at the moment. We got the John Deere E engine, we got the Relics Case SC, and we got Connor Super M. So spread between the 3 of them, but we got the engine block and the crankshaft for Connor Super M back. The flywheel's done and sitting in the garage. So that's all machined and ready to go. So we just got to order parts and start putting things back together. But I definitely know the feeling of being overwhelmed. I want to get Connor's tractor done and out of the garage just so I can, um, you know, have some room to just start working on my own stuff again. So thanks, Randy. Appreciate the prayers. Haya wants to know when I first started wrenching on tractors and how old was I? That's a tough question to answer. um, I've been on tractors since I was a baby, but as far as when I first started turning wrenches, I used to go around the house and take the dryer vent or the register vents out of the floor and stack them up in corners. And when I was like 3 or 4, I took the door of the dishwasher apart and pulled all the insulation out of it, which made my parents very upset. So to tell you what age I started wrenching on tractors or starting wrenching in general, let me let my dog in quick here. I don't really know for sure, but I know I started working on the case. Um, I had to have been probably about 10 ish. That's when I first started turning wrenches on that tractor. And sorry, let me turn my phone volume off here so that doesn't annoy us. But I was probably about 10 when I started turning wrenches on the Case SC, and um, it was just little stuff at first. I pulled the hood off and gas tank, and I would paint it with whatever spray paint my dad and grandpa had lying in the garage, and stuff like that. But I really started getting serious about it when I was about 13, 12 to 13 is the first time we got the Case SC running. I was about 12 or 13. So, and it ran pretty good. There's video if you look at my channel in the Case SC playlist of, I think it was Case SC, history of the Case SC in my family, I think is the name of the video. But there's a lot of video in there from when the first weekend we got it running. So, and Domino's in that video too. You'll see Domino when he was just a young buck, 12, 13 years old. Yeah, Brent, this Fresca, I don't mind it. So when Connor's Super M is done, can you drop your M off next? Hey, if you want to throw it on the gooseneck and bring it out here, sure. Maybe hauling home a WD-6 once the snow finally goes away. Price is right. Hey, WD-6 is a rare one too. Not many of those around. I'm on a Coke right now, not the kind Hunter Biden likes. Yee! Recently got a 450 engine that I was going to put in a W6, but I think I'm leaving it original. The 450 will end up in one of the M's. Hey, why not? It's a good engine for any one of those platforms. So Brian says he understands 100%. Don't drink at all. Don't smoke. Hardly even cuss anymore. But I do drink Diet Cola before noon hour. That I do need to quit as it keeps me awake at work. Yeah. I don't drink very much at all. At a wedding or something, or at a birthday gathering or something, I'll have a beer or two. But other than that, I don't drink. So smoking, I don't do. My parents both smoked, and I couldn't stand it. Um, I don't cuss on my YouTube channel, and I try not to cuss while at the shows in front of people when I'm meeting people from the channel. But um, truth be told, I have a bad cuss problem, but that's just how I grew up. Me and my friends and I, that's just how we talked. And working in a prison, it's like punctuation using cuss words. So it's a habit that I have to turn on and off, much like my at work personality versus my at home personality. So Larry says he's got 4 personal projects in the mix at the moment, not focused on anything. But at the museum, he's got 5 tore apart right now. A 3570 Minneapolis is main priority. Got to plow soon. Oh, Larry, I wish I could work on that stuff. I wish I could work on that stuff. I would love to work on a big prairie tractor. I would love to do it. And a friend of mine, Sean, he lives probably a mile and a half as the crow flies from me, and he's got a very large collection of both steam and prairie tractors and everything else. But I can never get the time to go over there. It's working two jobs and then running around with a 3-year old, and life's busy, and sometimes it's just tough. What do I do for a living? I am a corrections officer, a prison guard. In my spare time, I work for Rudy, just helping him in the shop, doing magnetos and carburetors. So, well, Hans, here's the thing: if you have to bring your tractor out here for me to work on it, just so you come out here, I'm willing to do that. Ever since college, I lost my filter for cussing. Yeah, I'm I'm very impressed with my ability to not cuss while I'm doing my YouTube videos, but the second the camera turns off, it's different. I can guarantee it. But I'm getting better though. I'm getting better. Iron Man's in the house. What's up, bud? How you doing? Am I going to the swap meet in April? LeSueur? I'm gonna try. I can't remember if I've got the weekend off or not, but I'm gonna try. Rudy's gonna be there, and I know he would like me to go just just cause, but um I'm gonna try. Tom says he doesn't smoke or gamble, try not to cuss, but slips out once in a while. Do partake in a beverage on occasion. Yeah, like I said, if it's a wedding or something, I'll have a beer or something. But other than that, I just I lost the desire too. I mean, I was your typical college age guy in my 20s, and I trust me, I did my share of partying, but and there's many times where I could have ended up in trouble, but I think a lot of us could say that. So nobody's immune to making mistakes. Brian says the most recent Meg video was most excellent. Thanks, appreciate that. And I don't know what happened with the volume on that video. I went and looked at my editing program and pulled it back up, and all my settings were where they were supposed to be, and I played it through that. I watched it back through my editing program, and it sounded fine. And then I upload it, and I have people telling me they can't hear me, and I don't know. I guess I don't want to delete it and re-upload it, and that's it is what it is. I guess people just have to turn their volume up for that one. So yeah, it's Brian says it's great of Rudy to allow me to video while working in the shop, and I was very very hesitant on doing that, and I really didn't even want to ask him because I don't want to infringe on his business. It's that's how he makes money. So if I show too much, people are going to start doing things on their own, which is fine. I support that 100%. But when somebody's paying you to work in their shop, and then you're making videos and putting them online on how they do their job, to a T. Like if I cover every step of the process, I feel like it's going to take away from his business. But that's just my own personal feeling. I'm sure it's not going to affect him, but in the grand scheme of things, it's just how I view it. So yeah, I agree with you, Iron Man. Winter's finally melting away. I hardly have any snow left in the yard, and tomorrow they're saying rain and snow mix. We'll see what happens, but I in Minnesota, I tell people you're never safe till the 4th of July. Then you got 4 to 6 weeks of summer guaranteed, and from there it's a gamble. So bonus earlier, pulling the starter on the excursion snap-on ratchet with stretched out sockets stuck up in frame under passenger side exhaust. Bit rusty, so it had to be there for some time. Oh yeah, put her in some evapo rust and throw it in the toolbox. Craig says, I try not to cuss, but when that bolt breaks off and a 10-minute job turns into a 3J job, I start making up words. Oh, yeah. Yep. Tom says, like the Mag rebuild. Nicely done. Absolutely, man. I'm going to do a Wyco, a John Deere Wyco mag for a video. Fairbanks Morris FMJ, which you'll find on a lot of like Alice Chalmers and stuff. And then I'll probably do a international F4 for the F12, F14, F20, F30, W12, 14, and W30, that whole series of tractors. I'll probably do one of those too. So be at least three more mag videos coming. So do I have a thing for any other machines on wheels other than old tractors? Absolutely. If it runs on petroleum and makes noise, I can probably it I can probably get into it. I have a lot of motorcycle videos on my channel. I've built 3 Harleys now. I've built a Honda Shadow. Um, no, 4 Harleys. 4 Harleys and a Honda Shadow. Um, I love vintage cars. I would love to own a '55 Buick Special. Um, I really love that car, and you don't see a lot of them. So Craig says he's got a few distributors and carbs that could use my expertise. Send them on over to Rudy's. We'll take care of them. Larry says, "Don't worry, snapped off a glow plug in an Eco Diesel head today. Was coming nice and suddenly snapped. Pays like 25 hours to pull ahead. Forget that. Mm-mm. I have no desire to buy a new truck. I would, I'll tell you, if I were to build a truck, here's what I would do. I would take like a 2006 Chevrolet 1-ton chassis, body and chassis, and then I would throw a Cummins motor on it with an Allison transmission. That's what I would do because I love the '03 to '06 or '07 classic Chevy body style, and I think they have the best, most comfortable interior with the captain's chairs and fold down armrests and everything like that. But um, yeah, that's if I were to build a truck, that's what I would do. Sean wants to know what's the best way to learn how to do points and magneto. They really intimidate me. Well, points are in both a distributor and a magneto, so points are pretty pretty basic. Magnetos themselves, depending on what it is, they can be fairly simple to work on. Um, but there are some very early magnetos, the earlier Edison Splitdorfs and American Bosch and stuff like that. They can be quite challenging to work on, and I have never worked on anything like that. I stick to the simple stuff, and Rudy he's trained me on those things, and he just lets me go. And I still have questions sometimes when I run into a dead spot, but um, best way to learn is find somebody that knows and learn as much as you can from them. Like I've said it 1,000 times, Rudy has more knowledge in his finger about magnetos than I have in my entire body. It yeah, it just amazes me. He's got an answer for everything on magnetos. I've never there's never been a situation where I've asked him a question and he didn't know the answer. I wish I could absorb all the information he tries to teach me, and um, it's just if you're not doing it consistently, it's hard to absorb it. So I can absorb the stuff I do consistently, but a lot of the stuff that he's working on, he'll show me things on the magnetos he's working on, the very challenging ones, and sometimes it's just hard to grasp it when I'm not working on it consistently. So that's my best advice: is surround yourself with people you want to learn from. Oh, trust me, I'm just reading through the comments here and I see a couple things on the new pickups and stuff. I like the new pickups, but I don't like how you can't hardly work on them. I mean, and that's just the way they're being designed now. I get it, from a business standpoint, I get it. You want to create that customer, and um, if things are challenging to work on, they're more inclined to bring them in, and then they have to pay, and it generates business and revenue. So I understand that, but at the same time, guys like me who can't afford to pay those types of repair bills need to drive vehicles that they can fix themselves. And I there's very little that you can do on these newer vehicles by yourself now. So that's what kind of is irritating, but at the same time, they're mostly reliable and, you know, very fuel efficient for the most part. So Larry says he's gathering parts to build a 70s crew cab 1-ton 4x4 square body Chevy with a compound turbo Cummins and 6-speed manual, one piece at a time. Johnny Cash. That would be a cool truck too. I wouldn't mind taking an '06 GM long bed 1-ton chassis and putting a 70s crew cab square body on it with the Cummins and an Allison transmission. That would be really cool. A resto mod, as they say. I've also worked on a very limited amount of vintage snowmobiles. My first snowmobile was one that my grandpa had. It was a Moto Ski Capri 292. It had the 292cc Hearth, one cylinder, and I got that thing running after it sat in my grandpa's garage for years, and it we thought it was stuck, but my dad and I chained it up to the hitch on his Jeep, and he would pull me around the yard at our cabin, and just for fun, for something to do. And we got done pulling it around the yard for a few laps one time, and I pulled on the starter rope, and here the engine turned over, and I was like, "Hey, this thing isn't locked up at all." So I pulled the jug off of it, and here the half moons on the crankshaft had picked up a small quarter 20 bolt. It was like a quarter 20 by half inch long, and it was sitting between the half moon of the crankshaft and the bottom of the where the cylinder jug slides into the crankcase. It was jammed in between there, so it would lock up the engine every time you try to pull it over. And it had broken the skirt out of the bottom of the piston. So I pulled that bolt out. Who knows where that bolt came from? It could have come from my grandpa working on it, and it got dropped inside the carburetor or wherever. And who knows where it came from? But I pulled it apart and rebuilt the carburetor and flushed out the fuel tank and new spark plug, and away it went. And I rode that thing all over the place with, this was probably in like 1999, and it had tabs from 1986 on it. I rode it all over the place with those 1986 tabs, and I was just a kid, so what did I know, right? But I've worked on all kinds of machines. I just, lawnmowers, snow blowers. You guys saw the I don't know if I put that on there, but Rudy gave me an old 1971 Montgomery Ward snowblower that he had when we moved into the house here because I didn't have anything to snowblow the driveway. And he gave me an extra snowblower that he had that wasn't running, and I got that running. And I've worked on all kinds of engines and motorcycles, snowmobiles, tractors, cars. Um, Before I worked at the prison, I was in aftermarket auto or aftermarket truck accessories. So I've done all kinds of work on trucks. I've driven every truck there is from the 1980s to 2010 is when the last or 2009 is when I stopped working there. So I've driven hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of trucks. So I'm just trying to catch up on some chat. Original Dodge Power Wagon would be cool to have. Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't mind having a newer Dodge 3/4 ton Cummins, but excuse me. I don't like how stuff is so complicated now. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. I was just talking about that with Don Livingston today. There's some of these older guys that are, running these shops and salvage yards and everything else, and they don't want to show people how to work on stuff sometimes. And this is what Don Livingston was saying, and I kind of said, how do they expect the knowledge to keep going? If they want the hobby to live on, they gotta teach people and pass this knowledge on. And sometimes it's kind of frustrating when you hear that stuff, but at the same time, just got to find somebody else that's willing to teach you. Newer trucks ride like a car from the '80s, but if you crawl under them, they're built like a car. Yeah, there's a lot of plastic on them. If it's 25 years or older, Minnesota has a vintage permit, so it's basically free to ride them. Yeah, I knew about that a few years later, but at the time, I was just a young kid wanting to have fun. Just run my vintage sleds without license. I've yet to get bothered about it. Yeah, it's one of those things. At most, if you get pulled over, the DNR will probably say, "Hey, that's a cool sled, but time to take it home without a registration." I doubt they'll write you a ticket, but you never know. Find yourself a 12 Cummins. They are just an old tractor for the most part. Yeah, 12 valve Cummins. They're tried and true, just like a Chevy small block. So Tom says had a 2021 Ram rental a year ago for 2 weeks. Great running and built-in towing, exhaust braking. But who has $100,000 to buy something like that? Yeah, no kidding, right? I just saw something on Facebook. A dealership was advertising a new Duramax for 99,995. I remember when you could buy a Silverado. Now, granted, this was a half ton, but I remember being in high school and you could buy. It was like a 2000 or 2001 Silverado, extended cab, half ton, short box, four wheel drive, base model. Rubber floors, crank windows, that stuff. But it was like 28,000 or 26,000. Now you can't touch a half ton for under 50,000. It's unbelievable. Lee says chat room doesn't show the time of text now. I left for a minute and now the time is gone. I don't see the time either. Weird. Just disappeared. Brian says my son put a Cummins 4BT in my old 93 Dodge Dakota. You would swear it came off the factory that way. He gets a lot of interest in his vehicle on the Dodge forums. I bet he does. I wouldn't mind putting a 4BT in a Farm All M like Andy Fromm, who was in the chat, has. That was a pretty cool conversion. Jethro says I started out messing with lawnmowers, then single cylinder snowmobiles from the late 60s, then outboards, but needed a car to take a girl to the drive in, so the tractor had to go buy the car. Yeah, it's funny how girls can influence you. Ryan says I drove an 84 Chevy from Minnesota to Los Angeles in 2018. I was sore from the bench seat and heavy duty spring packs, but it was an adventure, that's for sure. I'll bet. I took a 2005 Chevy Equinox from Minnesota to Wyoming one winter, and that was quite uncomfortable. The seats do not have much give in them, I'll say that. Am I aging myself if I say that I remember a new station wagon was $3,500 sticker price? No, I can understand that. I can remember you could buy a brand new Kia, the little Kia commuter cars. You could buy them for like $99.95, brand new. Jeff says, I'll sleep with my tractors if I have to. Brent says, I remember my dad complaining about an F 150 costing $4,000. Hans says, I thought a 4BT would be pretty sweet in an M. It would. Speaking of Hans, did you see my comment on a video idea? I recommended that in one of Hans's last videos. I said it'd be cool if he did a walk around of his truck and kind of like a review on what he does like and what he doesn't like about it, or what he wishes he would change about it. But if you don't want to, Hans, that's cool. It was just an idea. But I love Hans's truck. That thing is nice. I had a buddy that bought a Chevy Aveo when it first came out with his credit card. Oof. Cheap purchase, but expensive interest. All right, Hans is going to give us a review on his Dodge. Yeah, new or used is crazy priced. It doesn't matter what it is. My little Buick Rainier, it's basically a Chevy Trailblazer with a different trim package, but I bought that vehicle for $2,200 after I got in the accident with my daughter, and I bet you I could sell that thing for 4 or 5,000 now. Of course, I put probably 2,000 into it, 3,000. Well, probably 3,000 now. The rebuilt transmission was $1,800 alone. So Craig says there's one not too far from me with a 6BT Cummins in it. What the heck? How come you haven't sent me any pictures of that, Craig? He had cash, but he wanted the flight miles. Well, that makes sense. Makes sense. That's called a smart purchase. Oof. I just want my feet to stop itching. Well, I want everything to stop itching, but what's interesting is I can't even barely see the hives on my feet, but they itch like crazy. Anyway, problem with the 4BT, when this truck is in the garage running, I can feel it in the floors of the house. The engine is an animal. Hyatt says I have a 1999 Dodge Dakota. I'll be getting a vintage license tag for it in a couple of years. Yeah. I think it's 20 years here in Minnesota. If your vehicle's 20 years or older, you can put a collector plate on it. I could be wrong, but it's either 20 or 25. Pete's in the house. What's going on, Pete? Craig says it's not mine, but the same guy put a 7.3 Power Stroke in a 560. Wow. There's a guy on YouTube that has the 7.3 in an M. It's the IDI 7.3, but he did an awesome job on it too. Very, very beautiful job. Larry says, trust me, the things coming out of the factory today are cluster food. That's my sensor. I work at a car dealer as a master technician. Lots of little problems that are real pain to figure out. Yeah, I have a friend that has a 2014 or 15 Dodge half ton with the Eco Diesel in it. She has had nothing but problems. It's been in the shop more than she's driven it. And she's had it for probably about a year or so. 2 years maybe. It's in the shop right now, actually. She just had almost the entire fuel system replaced. and she was driving down the interstate, and it dumped out her entire half tank of fuel on the freeway and left her stranded on the side of the road. So something blew a line or filter blew or something, but yeah, it's back in the shop again. So my rule of thumb is never buy a first gen anything. At least not the first year of the first gen. Let them get the bugs worked out for a couple years, and then start looking at them. Yeah, that's 7.3M. I know the guy lives in Canada, but gosh, he did a nice job. He fabricated the frame rails and everything else, and it looks factory. It looks beautiful. So plus, I mean, the paint job is gorgeous. Jeff's got a 2006 Ford F-150. Decent trucks. Decent trucks. I've driven a lot of them. Yeah, I think she said it's under warranty, but it's just, it's just it she has nothing but problems with this truck. And I told her, I said, drive that thing through the front door of the dealer and tell him, give me a different truck or I want my money back because this is ridiculous. I mean, seriously, she doesn't get it out of the shop for 12 hours and the engine light comes back on and she's got to bring it back. It's that bad. Stay away from eco diesels. Dodge was supposed to get the V8 Cummins that Nissan has, but Fiat bought them and made them use their crap engine. Yeah, I, I wouldn't get an eco diesel in anything because if you're going to get a diesel, why don't you just get a 3/4 ton? That's the way I look at it. They're going to get darn near the same mileage, so you'll get twice the truck for, you know, nearly the same mileage and twice the price. But well, probably not. I bet you those half ton eco diesels are very expensive. All right, Hans, thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate it. Andy says he's going to put a 4BT into a 400 and a 7.3 into an M. Well, you can put a 7.3 in my M if you want. Sounds like it's a lemon. Yep, exactly. Brian says he ordered a Chevy Colorado. Um, he's a Dodge guy, but loves his 2002 Dakota with 250,000. Can't get a new Dakota, so I went Chevy. Yeah, understandable. Did you get the Colorado with the Duramax, the little Duramax engine in it? I think it's a Duramax. 3 times for same issue used to be a federal lemon law. Yeah, I'm telling you, that truck it's bad. She's getting some other top brass involved now, so hopefully things change. And she ordered a new 1 ton Cummins already to replace that truck. They should be buying that truck back for the sticker price and putting that towards her new purchase. That's the way I see it. But the amount of problems she's had with that truck is unbelievable. Right now, he's working on putting a 75 horsepower Kubota into a WD 45. Whoa, that's a good one. Have you guys seen the Farmall Cub Oda on YouTube? There's a gentleman that put a small Kubota engine in a Farmall Cub, and he calls it the Cub Oda. He did a great job on that too. I don't remember the guy's name, but if you search Farmall Kubota, Cubota, it'll come up on YouTube. It's a really cool little tractor. Andy says, we'll see how my 7.3M goes first. Hey, that's fine. Ryan says, I had a really good dealer that bought back 11 of an ATV I bought new. That was nice. Yeah, it's nice when dealers stand behind it, But if it's a federal law, they kind of don't have a choice, right? Brian says he went with the V6. Well, at least they started offering a V6 on the Colorado, because that inline 5-cylinder, not a good idea. In my opinion, not a good idea. They said it was more powerful than the 4.3 Vortec V6, but that Vortec V6 was a bulletproof engine. It was basically a 350 small block with 2 cylinders cut off. So Larry says, I always wanted to put a straight 8 into an F20 chassis just because. That would be cool. Domino actually had it was a blue, what do they call them? Blue Star inline sixes or whatever, the old International, or maybe it was GM. Blue Diamond engine. He had an inline 6 Blue Diamond engine. We were going to put it in a spare F20 chassis that we had lying around for parts from the other F20 that I had. But, we ended up having to sell that F20 chassis, and, he got rid of the engine. So bye-bye went that idea. But we come up with lots of ideas. It's just a matter of execution that we have to get better at. Hunting and stuff is in the house. What's up? How we doing? I would like to personally thank you for your PTO rebuild video. I believe it was on an 856. It helped me out tremendously fixing a snap shaft on my 1066. That's what we're here for. That's why we make the videos, right? And Andy is very, very smart, and he's a very good mechanic when it comes to this stuff. Like I said, I'd love to put a 4BT in my M, but for one thing, I don't have the fabrication skills or equipment to do it, I don't think. And another thing is I don't have the money to buy a 4BT. So I'm doing all right. Hyatt says he was watching one of the tractor show videos, and at the end it paid tribute to Glenn Westfall. Do you know what happened to his tractor collection? His tractor collection, as far as I'm aware, is still owned and maintained by his family. He's got engines and tractors scattered around the state at different showgrounds. There's many people in tractor clubs that have some of his equipment that they manage and run, but he's got, or God bless him, he's had, or however you want to term it. Glenn's collection was very, very big, and he was an incredible guy. So, actually, I think in my 2019 Rolog video, I'm driving in one of the parade shots. I'm driving his Case 2040 Prairie tractor, and he's actually in it with me, and he let me drive it through the parade, which was super, super nice of him. And I had never driven anything like that, so very, very cool. And I wish he was still around, because he was a very good guy, and he didn't live far from me. So it sucks that he's gone, but that's life. You can't, when it's your time, it's your time. So Craig says my '08 Colorado has the 5-cylinder. I haven't had any problems with it yet, but it only gets about 15 miles a gallon. Yeah, it's, I wasn't trying to say that the engine has a lot of problems. I don't have much experience with it, but they just feel kind of underpowered. Now, granted, this is a compact truck, so it is what it is, but it just, I don't know, 5-cylinder, it just sounded weird to me, and I never really agreed with it. If I figured, if anything, go with a V6, or go with the inline 6 like you put in the Trailblazers and all that. I don't know why that couldn't have been an option, but that 4200 inline 6 in the Trailblazers and my Buick, that engine is very reliable, and it's got some decent power and torque, and I thought that would have been a great engine. I don't know why they chose to go with a 5-cylinder, but it is what it is. especially since that inline six for the color or the Trailblazer that came out in 2002 3, so they could have very easily put that in the Colorado. A friend and I put a 996 Chevy and a 4-speed in an F20 20 years ago. Did 45 miles an hour and was scary. Yeah, I can believe it. The museum has a 2040 case with the early Davis engine. It needs some serious work as she is tired. Ask Rudy if he has a 2-cylinder counterclockwise KW high bar I could buy for it. I can ask him right now. Give me 1 second. Looking for a 2-cylinder counterclockwise KW high bar for a case 2040 with the Davis engine. All right, message is sent. We'll see what he's got. Yeah, we need more folks in the hobby like Glenn. I'm glad his collection is staying with the family. Yeah, like I said, he's got I have only seen probably a quarter of his collection. And I mean, he's got some really rare machinery. He's got a Happy Farmer tractor. He's got a Minneapolis 3570. He's got a few oil pulls, um, early John Deere D's. He's got tons and tons of engines. Um, he's got a lot of equipment, a lot. We're losing a lot of the old collectors and experts. That leaves us to pick up and carry the torch best we can for the next generation. Absolutely. That's where, I'm so honored to know guys like Corey Anderson that, they can make parts from molten steel. If you need a gear, they can make it for you. And they want to do that type of work because it keeps this hobby going. It's not cheap, obviously pouring a large pinion gear or something for a large prairie tractor, it's not going to be cheap because you got to make a pattern and then, cast it and then have it machined. And it's not going to be cheap, but at least there are people out there who are enthusiastic and willing and, promoting this hobby. So, and the knowledge itself, you got to surround yourself with, us as younger guys. We have to surround ourselves with the older guys that have the knowledge and really listen to them when they're talking, because when they're gone, the knowledge is going with them. And if you haven't listened, then you're going to have to figure this stuff out on your own. So, hunting international us is here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hunting and stuff says he's never heard of a Happy Farmer tractor. I'm going to tell you what Glenn told me about the Happy Farmer. Any farmer who's run a Happy Farmer was never happy. So he said he always told me I've had more problems with this tractor than any of my other ones, almost any of my other ones, because it's difficult to keep it running. It's difficult to work on and all these other things. And he's like, it's a pain, but I keep it because it's unique and rare and, nobody sees them. So that's, in the last 10 years, I've known like 20 guys in my area alone that took a lot of knowledge with them. Yep. Yeah, the baby boomers and those that are above them are not they're getting up there. Craig says my kids weren't interested, but my 10-year-old grandson is always wanting to help me and drive them around the farm on the weekends, so I think he's hooked. Yep, he's hooked. Happy farmer owners were only happy twice. The day he got the tractor, and he was even happier the day it left. Exactly. We just ordered the fuel for our farm for the year, $36,000 later, and we have 6,100 gallons of diesel and 2,500 gallons of gas. Holy buckets. Yeah. Groceries are going to be ridiculous. Everything's ridiculous already, but it's going to get a lot worse. Rudy says he does have a 2-cylinder high bar. He'll have to check to see if it's counterclockwise, but he's going to let me know. I told him I'm doing the live stream, so if he wants to stop in. Museum has one of those too. It runs good, but you have to clean the spark plugs every time and it smokes horribly. Yeah. Have you guys ever heard of I think it's called the Little Red Devil tractor? If you haven't heard of it, look it up. It's really an interesting tractor. It's a very early, I believe it's 2-stroke or 2-cycle, but very interesting tractor. Little Devil or Little Red Devil, something like that. Yeah, fuel prices are ridiculous. It's California. Now, granted, it's California, but they just reached an average price of over $6 a gallon. So, yeah, the hard par Little Devil. Yep, that's the one I'm thinking of. There was one at Rolog. Yep, Larry, we'll if Rudy goes and stops in the chat, we'll try to get something lined up for you. So, Rudy's in the house. Look it, there he is. There's your man, Larry. Rudy, Larry McDonald is the one that's looking for the KW high bar. Pete wants to know if I know a Dennis Powers. Maybe on Facebook. I'll have to look here. Let me open up another tab. Yeah, the hard par Little Devil had a 2-stroke engine. It had a problem where if you lugged the engine down too much, it would start running in reverse. And no, I'm not miming it would do that. Yeah, that's a big problem that it would have. I remember when I was up at Rolog looking at that tractor, they were talking about that, and that was one of the big big gripes. If you were lugging them down, it would run the other way and run you over. Oh, Larry, he just said what I was saying right there. So Dennis was from Rolog. He had that only cross mount case. Which only cross mount case? There's a few cross motor cases at Rolog, but I don't know why Facebook all of a sudden isn't working, but try again here. Maybe it's a cyber attack. Does he live in Des Moines, Iowa? Does Dennis Powers live in Des Moines, Iowa? He's got a picture of himself on a, it's like a Rumley, so it's probably him. I would imagine it's probably him. Oh, the 4072 cross motor. Okay, yep, that's a big one. I'm just catching up on comments here. It would back into, or if you're unlucky, you run over your plow. Yeah, those. Actually, one of the. I think the guy that owns that little devil was asking me about rebuilding the carburetor for it, and I don't even remember um, what kind of carburetor it had on it, but he was asking me about it because he had some issues of it with it running and something up at Rolog. They had a bunch of issues with it or something, and Logan, you know, Rolog is a big show when he says the cross motor case and goes, which one? Yeah, Sean has a cross motor too, but I can't remember what size it is. I want to say it's like a 1018 or something. It's not a real big one. Obviously not the 4072. The 4072 is huge and there's only a handful of them in existence right now. But well, somebody, was it Larry, said that the little devils, yeah, Larry said hard power little devils were recalled to be destroyed on a hard pull. Yeah. So some of them escaped the recall, I would guess, and was that the giant case cross motor I seen on Classic Tractor Fever? It was probably the same model. The 4072 is the biggest case cross motor that was built, so it's a very large tractor, very, very large. Has anyone heard how the auction and sell off of new Paris tractor parts went last week? On Facebook, I saw that it went quite well, and they were surprised how much and how quickly everything sold. And some people were complaining that some stuff went to scrappers, and not enough people stepped up with money to buy it and restore the stuff. But hey, that's auctions, and that's the antique tractor hobby. So if you don't have the money to buy it, somebody else is going to buy it, and if they're a scrapper, well, they paid for it. So, oh man, Dennis passed away. Dang. It must have just happened. Oh no, he was gone back in 2019, so he's been gone for a little while then. He passed away in 2018. Okay. November 21st, 2018. I'm just looking at his obituary, so that's too bad. Craig, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it, as always. It's always good to see and talk to you. Yeah, those 4072s are a real big beast. Pete's got a 3060 Altman Taylor. What the heck? You guys have been hiding all these cool tractors from me this whole time? Think of all the videos we could make. Anyone following the pre-30 sale Almond Auctions is putting on? 3060 case was over 300,000 last I checked. Yeah, it's I'm not following it, but there's a couple of auctions. Wasn't isn't Meekum's Gone Farming auction the Spring Classic? Isn't that right now or it just happened or something too? Because there was a vintage 1890 something case steamer that I think it came out of Minnesota that went down there to that auction. Logan says, I don't say this often, but some of the stuff at New Paris was a little too far gone. Yeah, and that's part of going to an auction from a salvage yard. It's some stuff is scrap and some stuff is gold. So take the good with the bad and just do what you can with it. Wasn't there an experimental Oliver tractor at Rolog last year? I don't know. There might have been. That's the great thing about Rolog. There are so many experimentals and one of ones and rare and unique, and there's big, small, left, right. It's There's so much stuff to see at Rolog. It's incredible. Pete's got a GP Massey Harris too. Come on, you're killing us, Pete. I got a Farmall M and an H and a Case SC. See, yeah, Logan, I know. He's just telling us now. He's been coming in the chats and the live streams and watching the videos and commenting for years, and now he decides to tell us that he's got all these cool tractors. Like, come on, man, Pete, you gonna at least do me a solid and let me get a ride on something at Rollout? Come on. Logan says he's got a 706 LP. That's about it for cool tractors. How about a Nebraska test tractor? Hey, I'll take that. Absolutely. I have a center exhaust case SC, but the man I visited today, Don Livingston, he's probably got 3, 4, 5, or 6 of them. Rex, I love the Farmall regulars. When I got my F20, that's originally what I was looking for, was a regular, and I just couldn't find any in my area that were in my price range, really. And so I settled for the F20 and actually bought 2 of them, and I built one out of 2. And you know, but if I could find a narrow tread Farmall regular, that would be the ticket. Larry says you should come to the Hawk Museum show in North Dakota. We get some real old rare tractors you can take videos of. I get them all running for the show. Heck yeah. I'm going to Google that right now. Hawk Museum show in North Dakota. Dale and Martha Hawk Museum, I'm guessing, right? Jeff says he likes all tractors. So do I. My favorite color is rust. So Logan says we just pulled the 706 out of the barn a couple weeks ago and got it going. Looks like crap, but runs good. Hey, Chrome don't get you home, man. Alice Chalmers 220. And guys, I'm not bragging. Just love tractors and guys that love them too. Hey, that's why we're all here. That's why we're all here, Pete. "2022 show." Okay. I'm simultaneously looking at the show here for the Hawk Museum. June 10th, 11th, and 12th. Ooh, I might be able to make that. And there's a fall show Saturday, October 1st. That one I know I can't make. June 10th, 11th, and 12th, huh? No guarantees, but I might be able to make it. It depends on where my days off fall. So, Hyatt wants to know how my friend is with the huge farmall collection. He's doing well. He's kind of up and down. He's got some medical issues, but he's doing well. I talk to him on occasion, but other than that, I haven't heard much. So up here, winter is slow. It's slow and long. So Logan says looking over Crazy Dave video of Rolog last year. Oh, the Oliver XO 121. Yeah, that was there. That was inside the expo building. I forgot all about that, but very unique tractor. Very unique. Logan says he saw a narrow tread F30 for sale a couple weeks ago. I might have seen that as well. Okay, I got to see how far the museum is from me. Oh boy, that's quite a drive. it's it's a good. Wow, it's almost near the geographic center of North America, which is Rugby, North Dakota. See? I bet you didn't know that. I knew that. I knew that. Some people might have known that, but that's my geography from high school. Still remember that, but um yeah, it's about 7.5 hours from me. So if I went, it would definitely have to be a stay overnight type of deal. But again, it all depends on what I have for days off. So if I don't have the time off, I can't go, unfortunately. Fall show is nothing much. Used to be a get together for the guys who ran the main show just to go play. It got ruined by turning it into too much, trying to bring it back to its roots. I get that, yeah. I'm in the Farmers Union co ops. Got a 123 unstyled and a styled 3 gas and a styled 3 LP. Need a styled 3 fluid drive. Co ops are an interesting tractor. I've never driven one or anything, but they're very interesting. Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist are my weakness. Yeah, I get lost on Marketplace too. I don't hit Craigslist so much anymore, but there's so many businesses on Craigslist that are advertising now. It's kind of hard to keep up. But Rex says I love tractors. I've got 8 so far, a couple parts rigs. Never farmed a day in my life, but the bug bit me when I was young. Now I can afford to play with them. That's what it's all about. Tom says he's been through Rugby several times. Yep, geographic center of North America. Ryan, I was at a farm in southern Minnesota years ago. Guy had a bunch of them old farmers union co-ops. Wish I had money back then. Oh yeah. Wish I had money now. Larry says I was in Rugby a few weeks ago. We got camping facilities. Hey, that's perfect. Logan says, Pete, why didn't you tell us about all your cool stuff before? Yeah, I'm sorry. Geographical Center of the United States. Sorry. You're right. I've driven a later co op tractor, also known as a rebranded cockshut. Well, yeah. Yeah, I sure wish we had money now. But, good things come to those who wait. Oh, no, it says Geographical Center of North America is Rugby. Geographical Center of United States is Lebanon, Kansas. So, I was right. Only tractor I really want is an International 1206. Then you go to my uncle has two of them, a row crop and a wheatland. Wow. Well, keep working for it. You'll get one. I love old tractors too. I was bit by the bug when I was 31 or 32, so I don't have a lot of experience wrenching. And unfortunately, my friends and family around here aren't into tractors. Shop time with Dave. Dave is in the house. Um, I'm just messing with you, Tom. No big deal. If you guys want to watch some cool machining videos, head on over to Dave's channel. He does a lot of stuff in machining. So he's the one that machined the beautiful plaques that we have for the um, suicide awareness Farm All H. So yeah, that's the thing about this tractor virus. It's you think coronavirus is bad. This tractor virus is lifelong and it never goes away. It only gets worse and worse and worse. There's no cure. There never will be. The only remedy at all is more tractors. So I got a 1206 Wheatland factory delete TA thinking about selling it. Oh, Logan, better get to the ATM, bud. Huh. You got some interesting messages on my phone. What's the oldest tractor I've gotten to run? Well, I don't know what year the Avery steam engine that I could find out though. Let me check. So the Avery that I've ran is a 1916, and I shouldn't say I ran it. I steered it. I drove it and steered it, but I didn't engineer the engine. Um, I did that at Now Then, but then low or Glenn Westfall's 2040 case. I'm not sure what year that was, but it had to be 19 teens or something. I would assume. So that's probably about the oldest machine that I've driven. I've ridden on the 150 a couple times, the Case 150, but I've never operated or steered it. So, but just to get an opportunity to ride on it is surreal. But Corey and Kevin and his entire family they're such awesome people. Hyatt says I remember going to the Sunbelt Ag Expo in Moultrie, Georgia in 2002 and seeing my first antique racing. Antique tractor parade. I was hooked ever since. Yep. Usually only takes once. Scott says I want an H, but I'm a landscaper in Minnesota. It would be a dream to have. Farm all H's are a dime a dozen, Scott. You can get them cheap and they're reliable and parts are cheap and readily available. They're great tractors. Larry says Case 150 is only a few years old, depending on how you look at it. Yeah, that's true. Some people do argue that it is a restoration, though, because it has the original serial number tag from the 150. So, it depends on how you look at it, like you said. You just had to make every other piece for it. First tractor I drove was my 300 utility. Yep, good tractors. Hey, Jeff, what's going on, bud? No worries on being late. I think we might shut this down. What do you say, about 20 minutes? I'm starting to feel these hives get quite irritated, so we'll go 9:15 my time here and shut her down. Tom says first tractor he drove was a Farm All H. Brian says he's got to take off. Sold a Farm All M carburetor during the chat. He's got to print the label. James in Ohio is going to be really happy in a few days. Yes, he will. So I've seen your work, Brian, and you do great work. So thanks for stopping by, though. Seth says I spent many hours breathing gas fumes on a Super MTA, cutting alfalfa with a sickle mower. I don't know for sure what the first tractor I drove was. I'm sure it was the Case SC, but I really don't know the first tractor I drove. I remember, oh, man, I don't know. My dad, I remember, I don't know where we were or what the situation was, but we were driving a tractor on a beach, and I was steering, and I let go of the steering wheel, and the beach sand caught the wheels and just kicked them all the way to one side, and I just remember watching the wheel go like this. So I was really little. I don't remember what kind of tractor it was or anything, but Rex says first one I drove was a 39 F14. Got it from my great uncle and was a young dumb kid in my teens, so I got rid of it and still kick myself for that. It might still be out there, Rex, if you've got the serial number, but other than that, it might be pretty impossible. Oh, Rudy's taking off. See you later, Rudy. I'll see you later this week. So, Spent many hours raking hay with a gas Oliver 1850. I've never driven anything newer. I'm trying to think of the newest tractor I've driven. Probably an Alice like 170 or 190 or something like that. But other than that, Pete says first tractor I drove was our family's R case. Jeff says mine was a 50 Farmall Cub. Uncle still plows snow with it. Larry says first I ever drove was my dad let me steer around an old L Gleaner combine when I was like 6. The first tractor he drove was a 44 Minneapolis Moline R when he was 9. Rex said, wish I had the serial number, but he has a suspicion that it ended up as scrap. That's too bad. It's pretty hard to find without the serial number. First tractor I drove that I remember was a 73 1070 case. That's a big one. Hyatt says, I'm not going to ask if you called the guy with your grandpa's M. No, I haven't called him yet. Just, it's more of a moral dilemma. Logan says that now than last year, I watched someone tractor pulling on a 2-cylinder Deere have the wheels go completely sideways, and it just kept going off the track till they finally grabbed the clutch and stopped. Yeah, that's sometimes your brain goes into panic mode, and you just got to remember pull that clutch back or hit the kill switch. If you got a kill switch on it. Got to get rid of some of these. Still trying to get the Super H neighbor had when I grew up. Last known it was still parked near last known owner. Keep working on it, Tom. First combine I drove was an Oliver 7600 with a 318 Chrysler V8. I've never driven a combine. I've never driven an articulating tractor. The only crawlers I've driven are a TD6, I think, and Squatches. Now, I feel pretty privileged for this. Squatch, when it was the Minneapolis Moline featurette, now then, he let me drive X253, the prototype Minneapolis Moline crawler. I felt pretty darn special driving that thing just because I think he told me I'm like, other than him and his dad and maybe one other person, I'm the only person that's driven it. So it's pretty cool honor to have. I think it's X253. That combine came from the factory that way, and you couldn't get a 7600 with a diesel engine. Huh. Andy wants to know what's there for tractor pulls, plowing, or going on this year in your neighborhood or in Minnesota in general. Oh, there's all kinds of stuff going on in Minnesota. There's all kinds of polls, and most of the shows in Minnesota are from I want to say mid to late July till the first couple weeks of September. So There's Root River, there's Hastings, Le Sueur, um, Nowthen, Almaland, Albany. I think there's one in Hutchinson too. White Pine. There's Lakehead Harvest Festival, Rolog, obviously, Dalton. I think there's one up by Little Falls too. There is so many shows. Now then, if I didn't say now then, there's now then. My first crawler was an Oliver OC3 wide track, pulled out small trees with it. That'd be pretty cool. Does Squash Till have that mini Moline crawler? Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Hunting and stuff is taking off. All right, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. So, always good to see you. I'm not going to be here much longer either. So, my family quit farming in 1988, but I still know where 3 of the tractors are still running. International 1086, Alice 200, and a B farm all with a belly mower. Someone did find a special combine a couple years ago, an experimental cockshut 545 combine with a 310 Waukesha in it. Oh, a Waukesha diesel. Oh. Tom wants to know how far from US 2 I am. Oh, I'm at least 2 hours south, probably closer to 3 hours south of US Highway 2. Little Falls is only 1 day now. Well, yeah, a lot of these smaller shows seem to be kind of dwindling, but the ones near the metro, they're every year it's record numbers. So I guess we can thank urban sprawl for that, right? The the suburbanizing of rural areas, the spread of the city, I guess. More people are trying to live with some acreage and don't forget Rolog and Orange Spectacular in the Minnesota Threshing Show talk. Yeah, I mentioned Rolog, but Orange Spectacular too. If you're a big Alice Chalmers guy, Orange Spectacular is a big show. Plow days, though, you kind of got to find, you got to get yourself into a niche of people that host their own plow days. I don't know of a lot of public plow day events other than the shows. So Logan says, I just like all tractors pre 1990. Pete says he's only 10 miles from Highway 2. Yeah, I'm probably a good 2 to 3 hours from Highway 2 yet. I mean, if you are in Duluth and you jump on Highway 2, you're probably only about 90 minutes from me, which ain't far. But if you start going across northern Minnesota, you're only going to get further away. So the closest you'll be to me on Highway 2 is when you're in the Duluth area. Hyatt wants to know if I've seen any Spoker D's show up for sale or auction. They're out there, but they're not cheap. Um, Most of the time, if you find a running Spoker D, depending on the condition, it'll go from 10, 12,000 to 30,000 dollars, depending on how immaculate the restoration is. But some of the original ones too, if they're in really good original shape, they'll go for good money. But I just want to find a platform. I just want to find a complete tractor. It can be stuck. I don't care. I just want a platform to start with. So yeah, Spoker Ds are pretty rare, but um, the funny thing is Spoker Ds aren't as rare as nickel hole Ds, from what I'm told. So yeah, US2 seems like a seems like the common ground for a lot of us. Jeff says, I think there was a Spoker D on yesterday's tractor a couple weeks ago. Well, let's go look, see if it's still on there. I'm guessing in the photo ads section. Oh, there's a Waterloo boy on there. 1920 Waterloo boy, model N, runs and drives, older restoration. Better sit down. $89,000. They're out there, but oh, somebody's selling a WK40 too. That's a cool tractor. $1930 John Deere D for $2,800. Turning brake D. '28 John Deere D for $7,000. That's the one that same year that I had, that Barrett restored. Well, I don't see any Spoker Ds, but there's a Waterloo boy on there. Logan, the bathtub D was an experimental tractor. It absolutely was an experimental tractor. I haven't seen it in person, but I really, really want to. Super cool tractor, and what a find. I mean, finding the main case buried in the dirt, that is insane. Logan says I saw a Waterloo boy for 79,000 a while back. Yeah, they're not cheap. They're not a cheap one. Larry says I just got a Waterloo boy clutch hub from a guy in Ireland off of Parts Overtime. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, the Overtime tractor is the overseas version of the Waterloo boy. And actually there's a two-part John Deere documentary on YouTube that you can watch. It's really good. It's got a lot of good information on it, so I highly recommend it. I thought a 6588 was tough at 12,000. Yeah. Okay, everyone, keep an eye out for Spoker D's for Kenny. Yeah. And hopefully right behind the Spoker D will be a money tree so we can pay for it. We can just, pick some money. My buddy down the road's currently restoring a 28 and 29D at the same time. I'm envious. Larry says he drove the bathtub last year. Dan Thomas owns it. Yep, that's right. He lets anyone drive it. Very impressive tractor in person. Yeah, and if I remember right, he's got a clear cover, an acrylic or plastic or Lexan type cover on um, the top of the transmission and final drive housing, so you can see everything rotating in there. I think. Only thing rarer than a Waterloo Boy or Spoker D is a John Deere Dane. Yep, I've seen a Dane. They had one at the museum in Waterloo, but I think that's the only complete one known, if I remember right. There's partial pieces of other ones around, but um, I think that's the only complete Dane. Dave says I need to come out and visit someday. Yeah, I know. I got a lot of places that I need to go. You want the number for my supervisor at work so they can give me some more time off? Oh man. Larry says clear cover to see the geared final drive. The case couldn't handle the pressure from a gear drive and failed. They then went with chain from then on. Yeah, if I remember right, I read somewhere that the chain final drives are they give a better power to ground or yeah horsepower distribution from the drivetrain to the ground because the chain has more contact area on the final drive gears than like a gear driven set because you're only contacting so many teeth at a time versus a chain driven system you're contacting almost half the sprockets at a time. But I don't know if there's any truth to that or not. One thing I haven't been able to determine, Larry, you can probably answer this, but is the bathtub D, does the final drive and transmission all share the same area or share the same oiling area as the crankcase, or is there a cast divider that goes between the crankcase and the transmission portion? I thought I read on some part of his restoration or rebuild process that it shares the crankcase and transmission and final drive. I thought that's why they called it the bathtub D, but because it was just one big, you know, what you call it, reservoir, I guess you'd call it. I could be wrong. I could be very, very wrong on that. So, like I said, I've never seen the tractor in person. I've just seen, I followed the story a little bit on it and read as much as I could on it. And I thought I read somewhere that the crankcase and transmission, final drive, I thought that was all shared oil. But yeah, that's what I read, Pete. I thought the chains did a better job at distributing power to ground because they had more contact area, having the chain drive the sprockets instead of just 5 or 6 teeth at a time meshing together to distribute that power. Yeah, that's what I thought, Larry. I thought that was I thought that was the case on that thing, but I'd love to see it sometime. I don't know if he'll ever bring it to, you know, a show near me, but I'd love to see it. Early Mack trucks were chain drive. Yeah, I've even seen some of the early cars that were chain driven too. There was one at Rolog a couple years ago. I don't remember the manufacturer of the car, but I know it was white and it had a number on the side, so it must have been an early track racer. Larry probably remembers that car. I want to say it was the same year the 150 was at Rolog, so that would have been 2019. Hyatt. I would love to drive a Waterloo Boy tractor. 2 words, bucket list. At this point, I think I can stop calling it a bucket list and start calling it like a storage container list because it's getting pretty big. I mean, my list is it's growing. At some point in my life, I would like to own, a steam tractor would be great, but I've kind of come to terms with I'm just going to have to get my operator's license and be able to just focus on operating. But I'd really, really love to own a prairie tractor of some kind. It's one of those things that it's an insane amount of money that it takes to keep those things running. But hey, there you go, Hyatt. There's your invite to drive a Waterloo Boy. You just got to get to North Dakota. How long before I go to steam school? That's in June. So, and my cameras are coming with me, and I'll do my best to film as much as I can, but I'm there to learn. So, um, I don't. I'm the type of learner that when I learn something, I'm all in. I'm focused and I'm there. Um, but without, I'm not gonna not take video. I've already gotten permission to do so. So I'll probably do a lot of it, wearing it on my head or on my chest. So there'll be a lot of movement, because I'll probably be pushing levers, pulling the throttles, clutch, valves and firing and all kinds of stuff. But who knows? I've never been to steam school. So Tom says, I need a warehouse for the fleet of tractors I'd like to have, a hangar for planes, and a rail yard for steam locomotives. Yeah, whew, it's a daunting list. Larry says, I want to pay off my house, then try to buy a 2244 Minneapolis. It would be a stretch, but maybe one day. Yeah, I mean, even if I could, even like a small Rumley or um, case cross motor or something, I'd be okay with that too. But a large prairie tractor would be great. But with big equipment comes big equipment to haul it, and that's not cheap either. So, but it's that's a Spoker D that's been on my list since I was a little kid. So I've always loved the look of the spoked flywheel, and it's hard to beat the John Deere two-cylinder sound. And the Model D in itself has a different sound than a Model A, B, or G. It's just to me, it's different. So, especially the early D. Larry says a friend bought an 80 horsepower case for 21,000 last year. Still good for 125 pounds. Deals are out there. Was it Matthew Horseman by chance? Pete wants me to come up to Lakehead Harvest Fest. I actually got an invite. It might have been you that invited me, actually, but um, they want me to bring my H up there to display it, and I want to go. I can't remember the weekend. I got to double check it, but I know I'm almost certain it jives with a similar show, or it's the same weekend as another show. And if it's the Andover, South Dakota show with the 150 this year, sorry, I'm going to be in Andover. They're pulling 50 bottoms with the 150, and I'm going to be there. So Logan says the closest I've gotten to a steam engine was walking around the steam engines at Now Then last year. Well, I've talked to a lot of people about steam engines the last couple of years, and I'm in no financial position to purchase a tractor right now, let alone. And hey, don't get me wrong, I'm not broke, but there's a reason I'm working two jobs, right? So, um, but anyways, there's a saying that some of these steam guys have told me, and the best kind of steam engine to own is your friends because they foot the bill for all the repairs and they're always looking for somebody to operate it because they're tired of being hot. Because I mean, you're standing on the back of a boiler all day long, and I imagine it gets old being up there. So that's something to consider too. It's a very, very cool thing, but you have to have the stamina for it. I wouldn't even mind like an old Minneapolis tractor, like a 1730 or something, the smaller tractors, but large enough to be large, but small enough to be manageable. Logan says I'm going to need multiple warehouses to store all of my dream equipment. I need multiple warehouses just to store all of my dreams. Dave says my buddy's rebuilding his boiler for a 2390 Baker right now. Wish I could be there more often to get video of it. Yeah, I know I'm the same with Sean down the road from me. He's always working on something, and wish I could be there more to get video of it, but more importantly, to learn more about these things. And um, I want to get involved. I need to somehow find the time. So H Turbo's in the house. What's up? Oh, look at that. We're 10 minutes past where I said I was gonna shut this thing down. No surprise there though, right? We always go for a long time. But I gotta find a better sitting position here. Larry says I picked up my 1730 for 4,000. Gonna need a lot of stuff, but will run like new when I'm done and be original patina. Yeah, see, that's not too unmanageable. There was one for sale near me in Wabasha, Minnesota. I don't remember if it was a Minneapolis 1730 or it was a Minneapolis of some kind and of some model, but it was in original shape and it had um I can't remember what I was going to say. It was in original shape. Pretty sure it was running, and it was going for a pretty good price. I want to say it was under $5,000, but Pete says Lakehead has the only twin-cylinder Minneapolis Moline steam engine running, and the owner loves to teach guys. Isn't it a twin stack Minneapolis steam engine? Isn't Lakehead the only one with a twin stack, or is that White Pine? Do steamers have to be inspected? In Minnesota, yes, they do. I don't know about every state, but most states, yes, they have to be inspected. Dave, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by, man. I hear you. I got a birthday to plan for tomorrow, so Hyatt, yes. The Hawk Museum does have a website. Let's see if I can find it quick. I'll put the link in there. H Turbo says he built a 30 by 50 shed. He thought it was plenty large and it's full. Yeah, that's how it goes. If you build it, you will fill it. Logan says, I just looked up a Spoker D on YouTube, and the first video that pops up is Spoker D sells for 210,000. That was a very early Spoker D, if I recall. And I'm pretty sure it was at Mecum auction. It was either Mecum or Almond. And yeah, it's a very early D, and it's pristinely restored. So Hyatt, I put the link for the museum in the chat there. So yeah, I'll try to get to Lakehead Harvest Festival. Let me see. Not far from me. It's in Cloquet. Yeah, there's the Twin Stack Minneapolis right there. They don't have much on their website about their. Maybe they'll have it on Facebook. Scoped out a 40 by 100 on my place before prices went up. It was about 100,000 just for the pole barn build. Yeah, so things right now are not cheap. I'm trying to find the dates for the 2022 show for Lakehead, but August 27th and 28th and 29th, I'm guessing. Or no, 27th, 20. Oh no, this is 2021. So it must be the last weekend in August then. That's the before Labor Day. Jeff, take care. Thanks for stopping by. Well, if I can go, to Lakehead, let's see. My guess is it's the 26th and 27th of this August, or 26th through the 28th. So if I can go, I'd like to bring the H because I was invited to bring the H up there for the show. And I don't think I have anything going on that weekend for shows. I know it's the same weekend as another show, but I don't know if I was going to that other show. So we'll have to figure out what the final dates are, Pete. And if we can figure out the final dates, we'll try to make it work. But I'm going to Rolog and I'm going to Andover and I'm going to Now Then. So those are three shows that I'm going to be at. I don't know if I'll have the H at Rolog this year. Uh, like I said, it all depends on what truck and trailer I can get lined up and everything like that. So I try to get that thing out. Obviously last year was the first year, but I try to get it out as much as I can. But I'm kind of at the disposal to Sorry, I'm looking at a picture of something here. Somebody tagged me in something on Facebook asking if I recognized it. So, Logan, thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate it. You can tell I'm starting to drop down in energy too. My mouth isn't working right. Lakehead is the weekend before Labor Day. All right, well, let's plan on it for right now. And like I said, we'll see what happens with lining up a truck to get the H up there. But either way, I'd like to try and go. So I've got a few other things I have to do yet to the H. Nothing major. I want to change out some of the bolts on it for grade 8 because you know those little details make a huge difference. And there's some areas where I can still put some grade 8 bolts in, and I think it'll really finish it off. So, but I mean, they're never really done. There's always something that you'll see and change and improve or something. So, but Tom, yeah, thanks. Really appreciate that comment. I've said it 1,000 times, but that H couldn't have been done with all you guys and all the help that you've given me and all the corporations and the small businesses that donated their time and materials and labor and everything. It exceeded my expectations. So the really big surprise that I wanted to give you guys on it, but I couldn't. There's no way I could have gotten it done. But I wanted to have the wheel rims chrome plated. I thought that would have been so cool to have chrome plated wheel rims to match all the chrome accents that we put on it. Being that the rims are already a galvanized, right now they're powder coated. It's called the color powder chrome, but they're still silver looking. But if I could have had those things chrome plated, it would have been incredible. I think it would have been so cool. But it turned out better than I ever could have imagined. So yeah, Hyatt, Hyatt, I'll tell you guys, Hyatt had a big hand in that too. He helped a lot with that restoration, so he deserves a lot of credit too. So him and his wife Monica. Yeah, Tom, that I wanted to do it so bad, but the chrome shop that was kind enough to donate all the work that they did, I asked them about it, and they said the only place that they could think of that would do something, especially the rear wheels, being a 38-inch rear rim, the only place they could think of that would do it or be equipped to do it would have been California, but most of the plating companies in California are now illegal because of all the restrictions that they have out there. So he told me that I probably would have had to send them to Mexico to have them chrome plated, and it would have been just outrageously expensive, I'm sure. I mean, truck freight, international, that alone would have been expensive, and then you're talking about, chrome plating a pair of 38-inch rims and 16-inch rims. So it would have been ungodly expensive, and the chances of a company in Mexico donating or partially donating any work is slim to none. So, but it would have been cool, man. It would have been a beautiful icing on the cake. But the powder chrome looks good. It's shinier than silver, like silver paint, but it's not a mirror finish by any means. So Tom says California is a better description. Yeah, California. Then Minnesota's recently gotten the nickname of Minifornia. So I love the state of Minnesota, but it's time to change it up. We gotta do something different here because this ain't working. You know, we've got a $10 billion tax surplus this year, and the majority of everybody that I've seen on social media and um, everybody I've talked to, they want the money back. They want it given back to the people, and with our population that would result in like I think it was like 16 or $1,800 per household or per person that would get money back. But I think our wonderful governor is talking about like $300 or $600 going back. So I don't agree with that at all. It should all go back to the people. Minnesota has been overtaxed for far, far too long. So, but anyways, without getting too political, I'll tell you what, guys. Let's give it 5 minutes. I'm gonna hit the end button at 9:45. So big day tomorrow. Baby girl turns 3 tomorrow. So big day. Yeah, Minnesota's. No, I mean, granted, we got a lot of beautiful natural, parks, and they maintain them quite well, and there's a lot of things they do that are good with these taxes, but there's a lot of things that are bad. So yeah, thanks, guys. Even though she doesn't know anybody, I'll let her know that she's very special, and there's a lot of people that wish her a happy birthday. So, but this is my parental advice. I always tell people when I part of the millennial problem I think is like my generation and people after me, we were all told that we're so special. Okay. Well, we are, but we're only special to a very small faction of people. Everybody else, We're just another person. So I think that's a big problem in today's world is kids grew up thinking they were special and that the world owed them something. And no, you got to work for it. And if you're not willing to work for it, you're not going to get nothing. So, and even if you do work for it, you may not hit it. So my best analogy is you can tell your kid they can be an astronaut, but you got to give them a dose of reality too and tell them, well, there's only 25 or 30 astronauts in the entire country. So if you want to work for it, you should probably have a plan B. Encourage them, but also make them realize the challenges that they're up against. That's the way I look at it. It's not impossible, but the only person that can make it possible is you. And that's my advice for life. But yep, tomorrow we're gonna show her 2 big gifts I got her, and then we're gonna go bowling for her first time. So it's gonna be a interesting experience at the bowling alley, I'm sure. But hey, Evan, how's it going? We only got a couple minutes on the live stream here because, to be honest, I'm beat and I'm itching like crazy, and I gotta get some relief on that side. So, but it's been a good chat. This has been awesome. A lot of good tractor conversation, a lot of good tractor talk, and I'm glad that everybody could make it. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? But I hope you guys all have a good evening, and I'm just winding down by reading the rest of the comments here. So hope you all have a good evening and don't work too hard. Stay safe, play safe, and stay tuned because we got some projects that are going to be making some headway here real quick. So thanks, Pete. Appreciate it. So sorry, Evan. I know you just got here, but you're late. So everybody take care, and it's good to talk to you guys. And Hyatt, I got your email. I got to email you back, but probably won't be tonight. So anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys, and it's good as always. So take care, and thanks. Thanks for supporting the channel. I appreciate it. So, all right, hitting the end button. Sorry, Evan. Gotta go. Take care, guys.